like that. Hello.
Back to the podcast, episode 43. What's up, people? How you doing? It's your boy, International Walk.
It's your girl, Tosh, the co-hostess with the mostest.
And we got that straight. How y'all doing out there? Glad to be back. Glad to be here. Glad to show up for y'all. Act to the podcast. Check us out. Website, Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. You can check us out on those platforms. How y'all doing out there?
So I'm just going to break the ice a little bit and let y'all know y'all host is not doing too well, but I'm grateful to be able to be there to support him and be by his side. So I know we typically open up with a how are you, and if he's up to it, we'll still go there. But I do want to say, because I know it's going to be really hard for him to say, we talked a couple weeks ago, and one of his woes was that his Nana D, she wasn't doing well. Nana was a beautiful, beautiful woman, and unfortunately, we lost Nana last week. So my condolences to my husband, my condolences to my family, because his family is my family. He's having a really rough time. It's difficult when you go through life and you're fortunate to not have lost many people that are really close to you. But then when it happens, it's so heavy, and I know, for those people who have had consistent losses in their life, it's heavy, no matter when it happens. But for him, this is a new experience, and, he's having a tough time dealing with it. So I just wanted to put that out there. Please keep him, myself, and our family in your prayers. And if I can say so myself, we'll dedicate this episode to Nana D's.
Episode is dedicated to Margaretta Lillian Dees.
Yeah. So
how are you?
I'm here. I'll say mentally.
No. How are you?
Mentally, I'll say I'm an 8.
Okay.
And I'll say, I feel like no matter what I may be going through, not that I'm really going through anything, in this moment, I take my role as being your wife, your best friend, your homie lover friend, your support system seriously. And I'm okay because I have to be okay to make sure that you're okay. So I'm keeping a clear head. I'm not letting any distractions, come my way. Not that there's anything that I'm blocking, but I'm here and I'm focused to be there for you. So I'm an 8.
That's your mental?
That's my mental.
What's work?
Work is an, I'm going to say work is an 8. Work is a lot, but it is what it is. There's a lot of transition going on. I found out my job is doing some layoffs. Today I found out, team of people.
They chucking you?
Wiped out. I don't think I'll be impacted. Don't know yet. Yesterday was one day. Tomorrow they're doing another round. I don't think I'll be impacted. But it's the times that we live in where it's scary hours, Don't one of the rappers say that?
Meek Mill.
Yeah.
But he means that for fucking girls at night.
Oh, so maybe not that. I was using that the wrong way. But on a serious note, we know so many industries have been impacted by COVID, and the industry that I work in different ways, but as well. And one of my mentors told me a long time ago, there was a question that was posed, that why do businesses go into business, no matter what your business is? And some people will say, oh, they want to help people, oh, they want to change lives, oh, they want to do this, oh, they want to do that. The primary reason is to make money.
Yeah.
And you could have other reasons and other goals, but it's to make money. And the moment that you stop making money, now this is not talking about a nonprofit organization, because it's nonprofit. But the minute that a for-profit organization is in business to make money, and the minute that you stop,
they'll make cutbacks.
They have to make changes. So it comes with the territory. God is going to do what he's going to do, and he's going to bless us no matter what the outcome is going to be. So I'll say work is an 8 for me.
Finances.
My finances are 9. About finances again. We've had to handle some adult things in life, and I'm blessed that we are able to do so. So no complaints.
No complaints.
How are you, baby?
Um,
No. How are you?
I'm smiling because of the way you said it. Can you stop touching this leg?
I'm
I hate
sorry.
when you touch it.
He
It
has
does
some-
not feel good.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so stop it. You was just like the third episode now.
I
Stop.
know, but you're here, so maybe we should switch sides.
No, we shouldn't. I like my side.
Should I rub the inside of your thigh?
No, just don't touch
Okay.
that leg.
All right. He has some nerve issues with that leg, and I know that, but it's just like a comfort thing.
Yeah, you can rub my knee,
All right.
but not my leg.
I'll rub your back.
I'm not okay. My grandmother died, and that's still hard to say. Yeah, I have thousands of memories. I feel like that's flickering through my head with her, and yeah. So mentally, I would probably be like a 5 right now.
And it's okay not to be
A
okay.
5 or a 4. So that's where I'm at mentally. Work, I would probably be at like probably 8. I'm good on work. Job's almost ending, so that's a good thing. Bear with me, people. And finances, I can go with a 8. I just spent some money for some adult items. Not like porno stuff or nothing.
I was gonna say, if you spend
The
money
way that
for
sounded,
adult items that
yeah.
impacted your finances,
the way
like
that sounded.
they gonna think we into some kinky stuff. Like we
No.
done bought a girl or a boy, but I mean not a man or a woman, not a boy.
No, just had to get
Scratch
some
that. Yeah.
shit for the house, and you know, I'm always about saving. So yeah, we still good though. I really want to dedicate this episode to Margaretta Lillian Dees. She was my grandmother. I loved her dearly, and she was a special woman. She is probably, actually, I know she is the only person ever in my life that I've never had a negative interaction with at all. And she's chastised me and told me things that I probably shouldn't be doing, or, things that she just probably think wasn't good for me, but she always told me at the end that she loved me and she supported me. And I am having a hard time. And it's weird because she hasn't been herself lately, like the last decade or so. And it's like, I don't know, it's a weird feeling just knowing like that chapter, like when people say the chapter is closed, like I was trying to give the analogy of a book, and whether you get to the end of the book or page 98, or for her sake page 97, and it's like, okay, you can't add no more to this. And that's what's shocking about death. It's the finality of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's there, it's coming, it's for everybody, but it doesn't matter. It's like your person or somebody that you love. It doesn't matter if they 200. You don't want them to go. So yeah, that's this podcast is in memory of Margaretta Lillian Dees. I love you. Always have, always will. So, not to stay like in the morbid mode, but just some perspective from you. 20 years ago, your grandmother died, and Shirley Armwood, and we was together. That was a part of our journey together. And what was some of the initial feelings for you?
Yeah, it was actually 18 years ago, July 20th, 2003. I lost my grandmother after she had been in the hospital since the Thanksgiving that preceded that.
Right.
So she was in the hospital for 9 months. Literally, she got sick Thanksgiving evening in 2002, was taken to the hospital. She never came home. She, was transferred to different hospitals and finally passed. For me, it was almost exactly like you explained. When people talk about, or not people talk about, when you see in movies and they showing somebody transition, and it's like you see all these memories, whether it's Polaroids or just snapshots of life. Like you think about all of those things that you've experienced with people. I know for me, I thought about the woulda, coulda, shouldas, not in a sense of regret, but just wishing. And again, I guess maybe it is some regret, but as the time goes on, it's not regret in a sense as if I didn't do enough, but still wishing that there were more. So even if I had, 10,000 memories of her, wishing that I had 11,000, wishing that I don't know, like those nights that I might not have come home when I was staying with her, wishing that I did, or you just wish that you had more, because you realize there will never be more. You'll never be able to laugh again. And I think at that moment in our life,
do you realize that beforehand? I mean, people teach you about death. You hear about death. A person might die, and you be like, "Oh shit, that's sad." But when it's your own, network, when it's your own circle, it seems like for me the finality of it just now hits. And it's like, I'm 44. I know death. I know about it. I haven't had to experience with anybody close, but it just seems like I never even knew about it. And now the finality of it is like, holy shit, like that's the heaviest part of it.
You know what, too, that I think is an interesting phenomenon is that, like you said, all your life people are going to die. The realization that this person, and I know it's more than just the phone, but I'm going to just say this phone is a thing. To think that this burnt up in the fire somewhere and is gone and it no longer exists. And I think the phenomenon about death for me is to think that this person who was on the earth or who was tangible, I could touch them, talk to them, hear them, like that's no more. Like you may have pictures, you may have videos, there may be other things of them, but the final, to me it was like not just the finality of them being gone, but the physical presence, like and that
You're
was
never going to see them again.
Yeah, that was, and it's like a strange thing to think, even last year losing Aunt Carol and knowing that, we would go and visit her sometimes, I would talk to her, but just knowing that physical body not being here on earth, it's a weird feeling, and it's this. I mean, I don't want to say since birth, but as once you learn about death, at some point there are people who will no longer be here. But to think, it's just weird when it happens. It was weird when it happened. One of the things about my grandmother that I, as I was saying, we were at that was such a pivotal moment in my life. We were, fairly new. Here we are 20 years later, but we were just not even 2 years in, and you held me down so much. Like you were one of her pallbearers. You were there with me when we would go to the hospital to see her. And it was so much that I wanted her to see in my life. Because about me, but of course it would have included you. Like I would have loved to bring her to our house when we bought our house years later. My grandmother loved what she called garaging, which would be riding around, going to yard sales and flea markets. On like literally, she would get a newspaper when they would have the ads of where different people would have garage sales or yard sales. She would map out the places that she wanted to go. My grandma never drove, so she would go with a friend or an aunt or something like that. So I think like I would have loved to have been able to do that with her. So those were so when I say regret, not regret as if things went sour,
it's
but
just wishing you had more time. And the finality of it is there's zero time on the clock.
Yeah, and
there's the game's over.
Yeah, and I would say for me it was a little bit of I don't know if I want to say envy or something like that. My grandmom died. She was she was born, so she was 61. No, she would have been 61 that year. And no shade to you, like Nana passed, she was 96. I know people who have grandmothers who are are way older than 61. So for me it was like, dang, like why I only got her until this age? Like why couldn't I be visiting her at, why can't we be planning a 75th birthday party, be visiting her at 85, be seeing her at 92? Like, so it was a little bit of like anger about that.
I was ready to say the how did you feel anger at all? But you kind of answered that because initially it's like all these fleeting moments of happiness, but and not even like my family dynamic. You know, my family dynamic. It that also adds to the weirdness of it all. And I don't think you had to contend with something like that in your family, did you? Or was it just?
Well, yes and no, I guess in a different way than you did, because um my family dynamic, meaning like my immediate family, my mom and siblings, our relationship is different than your relationship. But our family was, my grandma was like the glue that held us all together. And probably in some ways that weren't healthy, but it is what it is. And I probably did things or went places or tolerated certain things on the strength of her that I no longer do. So I mean, it's kind of weird. So yes, the family dynamics were impacted. Like, my family is not as close as they were. As if I, like, when I think about my first cousins, like my mom and her siblings and all of their children, we were like this grown. Like, grandmom's house was that center point. And now my grandma, if she was alive, she has probably, I don't want to add right now, but probably 20 great grandchildren, just thinking of all the kids in my head. Like, so the children that her grandchildren had, most of them don't know each other. So I mean, it's like those kind of things that I know if she was alive, that would not be. So family dynamics were impacted, just a little in a different way.
Um, how often do you think about her?
Hmm.
Like, being real, even if it's not every day, but if you had the ballpark, how often do you think about her?
Just me think about her out the blue. I'll say probably once or twice a week.
Every time we find a dime.
Yeah. So there's this theory, conspiracy theory, whatever you want to call it, but we have lived it. And I'm not one that believes in any kind of spiritual realm outside of what's biblical. But if we hadn't experienced this ourselves, then I'm sorry, I touched your leg again. Then it's strange, but I'm not going to even go into details. But if you have experienced any death in your family and you consistently find dimes around your house, just search, what does it mean to find dimes? And I'll tell you what prompted us to do it. We went through a period in our life where literally
Probably found $1.50 in 2 years.
like dimes.
All dimes.
We would find dimes, not quarters, not pennies, not nickels. Not saying we never found a penny, but it would be like if we found one nickel, we found 6 dimes. And it would be like in the weirdest places, like, who left a dime on the stove? Or, you walking into the bathroom and there's just a dime on the floor. Or there's 3 dimes. Or, I'm doing laundry and he got 5 pairs of jeans of work pants that he wore throughout the week. No change in any of the pockets, and then one pocket, here's 3 dimes. So this pattern, it was just too consistent, which made me research it. And that's where I found out the correlation between death and finding dimes. Again, whether you choose to believe it or not is up to you. We researched it, and it's a constant present. And not only that, when I spoke to my sister and 2 cousins, this was we had never talked about this until I found out like what the supposed meaning was. And this was something that was happening in their lives as well. Yeah. So
I think about her life and who she was, and she was just a beautiful person. She was fun as shit to be around. And all these fleeting memories in my head of when I was small, and places we went, and church, and having her friends over the house, and we was like go over there on the weekends and watch them get drunk, and it was like the funniest shit ever. Which I don't even think she probably knew we were watching, but just all those memories of her. Every Easter outfit I ever had was bought by her. Nights over her house eating Chinese food, and she called it Chinese food because she thought the S meant plural, so she wouldn't say Chinese. She would say Chinese food because it was like one. Just like the weirdest shit I think about her. And does it get any better?
Yes, it doesn't get better, but it becomes less consistent. So not saying you will ever forget her, not saying that you'll ever not you'll ever come to a time when you won't be sad. But throughout the last 18 years, there was times where, like, if I mentioned if we rolled past a yard sale, I would be in a car bawling, crying. I can do that now, and I might smile thinking about, like, she would love that yard sale. But if I think about it too long, I may cry. So does it get better? It does, and it becomes less reoccurring. But it's going to take time. It will take time because, again, like you said, she was a source of joy and happiness. Like, when you think about her, despite whatever her life consisted of, when it related to you, that was happiness for you. So that those moments, even, you're going to mourn that, you're going to grieve that, you're going to be angry about that, and then you'll, like, smile at the memories and the love. Like, that's the biggest thing for me. Like, I think about just how dope she was. Like, I like the things, we used to watch TV and stuff together, and just who she was. I can remember her so vividly. I will tell you, when you said this the other day, you had a dream about her. I hate, hate, hate. And I can say I probably have done so maybe 5 times in the last 18 years. And it feels so real. It infuriates me because it's like,
yeah, I don't want to.
I want that.
I don't want to have that dream again. I mean, that was like shocking to just dream about, and it does feel like so surreal and well, not surreal. It feels real, like you can reach out and touch her. But I just hope I don't go back down that road where I dream about her. But I love you, Nana. I appreciate everything you ever done for me, and that's it. It's like I said, the book is closed, and I've done things in my life that didn't allow me to see her the way that I wanted to, and I'll have to live with that. But it's not like I feel regret for choosing me, but damn.
One thing I can say about Nana, she loved you immensely, even during the times where, you were in trouble and we would go and see her. It was with open arms. She treated you like, get on in here, here's this food. Like, it felt like a safe place being in her house. I slept at Nana's house. He was redoing her ceiling, and I was tired and went upstairs. And it ain't many people's house that I can sleep in comfortably because I just feel weird about that. But I slept in Nana's house. She was kind to me from the day I met her. I remember early on in our life, again, we probably were together for 2 years or so. She was telling me about these life insurance policies that she had on him that she wanted to sign over to me. And I'm like, whoa, you trust me like that? You don't even know me yet. But she was like, yeah, I got to get these documents so I can put them in your name for him because I know you going to make sure. And it felt good to know that she knew that I had him.
That's grandma. It's like she had just met you.
But yeah, right. But
she knew of you, but she had, like, she heard me talk about you, but she had probably only met you 3 times, twice.
Yeah, she was like, "Let me sign these papers over to you," and it meant a lot to me because, like you said, moms and grandmoms, when it comes to the males in their life, they can be very critical of women that come into their life, and it meant. And I've never been that type, and I know people are different in relationships where they cling to their in-laws. I've never been that type to claim his. I love his family because they're his family, but we just don't have that bond. I've never been that type to cling to others just because of my own issues, whatever.
Moms are different though,
Yeah.
because it's like they got a dog in the race. They don't
Yeah.
want nobody to take their kid away.
Sometimes grandmoms are like
want
grandmoms
nobody
are
to take their
brutally
kid away.
honest.
But grandmas, they don't have a dog in the fight, and it's just they want the best for you.
Yeah.
That's what they're used to doing is as a grandma and to all their grandkids is trying to make the best for them, and I'll always appreciate that. I hope it gets better. It doesn't feel like it's getting better.
It hasn't been a week yet, baby. Give it some time.
So I mean, it's just
grief is a process.
I understand that, but like I said, I don't have any regrets. I will live with the decisions that I made in my life, but damn, that's how I feel about that. Like, damn. And the finality of her passing is it's brutal. It's brutal because you know how you think about somebody. It's weird how you see when we saw that video of the man standing up there at the funeral and he was like, I'm glad this motherfucker dead, and saying all this crazy shit about somebody, and it's like, wow, like, damn. But my thoughts is like, I can't, not that I'm trying, but I can't think of a negative memory with this lady. Like, I can't think of, like, every interaction I ever had with her was positive. It's just crazy to think that there's nobody else in my life that I can say that about. That's crazy. And I wonder if other grandmas are like that, if other people feel like that about their grandmothers because of the role that they play. Like, have you ever had a bad interaction with your nana, with your grandma? Probably not.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I can't
like, they'll do the chastising and tell you, yeah, you wrong for this, or you shouldn't do this, but can you ever think of a negative fucking reaction, like an argument you may have had with your mom or something like that? Like, that shit never happens with your grandma.
Yeah, my grandmom, she was, again, she was the center of our family. She took care of everybody. She and it was like you said, she would chastise us, or when you were doing something that you shouldn't be doing, you would get in trouble. Like, but you accepted it and you moved on. It wasn't like, I ain't speaking to grandma, and we call my grandma Mimi. It started as me mom, and then at some point it kind of transitioned to Mimi, so she was everybody's Mimi. But it was one of them things where, yeah, you got in trouble, she fussed at you, and it went, you like you said, she would chastise you, but life went on. You wouldn't be mad at her for any amount of time. Like, that's grandma.
No, you get your shit together quick. Yeah, I don't know. I'm moving kind of slow here, but I just can't stop thinking about her. Yeah, she was a dope ass lady, and that's just it.
Can I say something to you that you will always say to other people?
What?
Feel your feels.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel your feels.
Yeah. But damn. Yeah, damn. Shifting gears. This trans conversation is back.
What now?
So, T.S. Madison. Let's just try to get some shit straight here, people. T.S. Madison is a trans man to a woman who doesn't want to have SRS surgery. It was on the Breakfast Club yesterday because of her direct connection to divinity.
Okay, so I may use some incorrect pronouns, but I just want to get clarity. So T.S. Madison, was born a man, but lives life as a woman, doesn't want to get surgery and having his penis removed because of the divine spirituality. Okay.
Now, you have a person like T.S. Madison. Now, you have a person like Flame Monroe, who feels If you have a dick, you're a man. If you have a vagina, you're a woman, regardless of what we're doing here. Okay? And T.S. Madison cares extremely about pronouns, and Flame Monroe doesn't give two shits about them. So the conversation needs to be had of where are we with, if you have two people, two men who both have penises from the same community saying two different things, how do you not offend people? Where it's who gets the she, or you should be talking to us like this, but there's people from your community saying a contradictory assessment on what they feel it should be.
So I don't like saying I'm going to play devil's advocate, because I am no advocate for the devil. But I am going to look at the other side of the fence from their perspective.
And if people you don't know who T. Madison is, look her up.
T.S., yeah.
Yeah, T.S. Madison. I'm sure you can probably understand what T.S. stands for. And Flame Monroe. And just check them out. They're dope people. You know
what, though? I never thought of what T.S. stood for until just now.
For real?
Yeah, I've seen the name. I never really looked at any of his or her. So
her.
They want to be called her. Okay, I've never looked at. I never looked at any of T.S. Madison's material.
There you go.
Yeah, material. But I am familiar with the name. But I never thought about the meaning of that nomenclature of T.S.
Yeah, and it just brings the conversation of how can you, if this people are getting canceled and you got this ideology of you gotta, now transform your language into this because it's offensive. Well, it's people from your community who are affluent people, out there. They have a following who's saying, fuck they, them, and this and this and that. If you got a penis, you're a man. I don't give a fuck what we dressing up like or what we're doing or what you're feeling. If you got a vagina, then you're a woman. So, what do you do?
So I'm going to approach this from their perspective. Like we talked about before, I am not that whole pronoun world. I don't want to subscribe to that. I prefer to just call people by their names instead of changing the natural.
But can you do that in a conversation though?
I think so. But listen, I think the same grace should be given as it is given to any man or woman. Not everybody isn't the same. Everybody isn't going to have the same ideology as to how they want to be addressed in any facet of life. And let's just listen to a few examples. You have some people who are born in the South who they demand that their children or whomever refer to them as sir or ma'am. And, they may be military based or not, but you have people who grew up, we talked about this the other day, who they say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And that's required per their upbringing. And because, you might have a man who's just like you, who he wants to be referred to as
I
sir.
understand that, but I'm saying this is coming from a community that says the LGBTQ IA plus community says you have to use pronouns now.
But I don't. But yeah, you have. But you have to use pronouns.
But it's people from.
But listen, you have to use the
problematic thing is the people from your community. There's some people from your community where that mantra is coming from, that's saying fuck pronouns.
Well, I think what you're missing is you have to use. They're saying you have to use pronouns when somebody wants you to. So just like with men, you have to refer to certain men as sir when they want you to.
I don't think that's the message that Flame is saying. She's not saying use pronouns when people want you to.
Well, she's saying for her, she can't, just like the LGBTQIA plus community can't speak for everybody, Flame can't speak for everybody.
No, I'm just saying her perspective is, okay, even my community, if you got a penis, you're a man. If you got a vagina, you're a woman. She's telling other trans women that. So that's what I'm saying. It's in that community where that mantra is coming from of, okay, this is a thing now where you can be canceled for, or they're going to come and get you. I'm going to stop saying like you could be canceled, but they're going to heat up on you. And there's people from your community, trans women, that's saying, okay, it's one way, but like Marlo said, it's the other way.
But I think that's the problem. Not one person can speak for any community. You got some black people that say, don't call me African American. I ain't from Africa. I'm black. Where you got some black people that say, call me African American. You have some Caribbean people that say, address me as being Caribbean American, don't call me black. So I don't think that any one person can speak for a community. It's a personal preference. In the religious community, you have some pastors that are referred to as pastor, reverend, apostle, minister,
But is
bishop.
that the case though? That's not the message that I'm receiving. Maybe I'm reading it wrong.
I think
from the LGBTQIA community, I'm receiving the message that this is the shift in our culture. This is the change. They're not saying only certain people want to be called
But you
pronouns.
gotta think that's ridiculous. How can they speak for every transsexual person? So I think it's foolish of them to give that message
just
out.
like they have, for the sake of the conversation, I understand that one person can't speak for a community. But we have people that try to speak for us, the Jesse Jacksons, the Al Sharptons. I'm not saying that they do, but that's their kind of position where they're speaking. And sometimes they're not saying all bad shit. They're saying, okay, equal rights and all that stuff, which is good to speak for everybody. You can speak for everybody when you say we want equal rights. I'm not mad at that if you said that on my behalf. But what I'm saying is if you have people from that same community saying two different things, and I don't get that the message is, listen, individually speak to us this way. No, it's saying this is the way trans people want to be they want to be spoken to, or binary people want to be spoken to. We want these pronouns to be used now. I don't see trans people raising their hands saying, you don't have to do that for me.
Well, you do. Flame Monroe.
Well, that's the only person, and look who it is. It's Flame Monroe.
But what I'm saying is, I think that's where, I mean, again, it's an individual
thing. And even before all this, all the pronoun stuff started, we knew Flame Monroe, and she's always said, in the daytime I'm a man, in the nighttime I'm a woman, and I'll always be a man because I have a penis. So that's all I'm saying. And before all the pronoun stuff jumped off and the cancellation and all that, Flame been talking like that. That's all I'm saying.
I hear what you're saying. I think
and for the sake of the conversation, they're the people that's speaking from the community. That's all.
But I hear what you're saying. I think the mistake is we can't paint it with one brushstroke. There's individuals in the community that want to be addressed differently. There's some people that will have the same mentality as T.S. Madison. Some people will have the same mentality as Flame Monroe. Some people, guess what? T.S. Madison may change her mind. Flame Monroe may change their mind. I think you have to approach it on an individual basis. I think that's why, like now, I even saw I was looking on Larry Krasner's page where he had his name on his page on Instagram, the DA of Philadelphia, for those who may not know who that is. And after his name, he had his pronouns. He, him.
But I'm saying he's in a position, I don't know if he's gay or not or whatever, but I'm just saying he's in a position to show some solidarity to the community for votes and stuff like that. He just got elected again. What I'm saying is I don't agree with something like that being taken individually from the people in that community. So if we're black people and somebody says, oh, all blacks want equal rights, they're not going to, that don't make sense to go through each black person and say, are you sure you want equal rights? You would just assume this is something that you guys want. So that's what I'm doing when you hear we got to change the pronouns and stuff like that and use they and them. And it's like, okay, this isn't one person that's saying this from the community. This is the community saying this.
Well, but no, that's the thing. That's why each person identifies what are your pronouns, what are your pronouns, what are your pronouns. Because he might want to be called she might want to be called they, he might want to be called her, she might want to be called them.
My point is, I don't think there's any of them that's saying, don't call me any pronouns. I think they're saying, use them now. That's my point. I don't think they're saying, yeah, okay, I'm a trans woman, but other than Flame, don't use the pronouns.
I don't think he's the only one. I just think that it's just not, everybody's not choosing to participate in the conversation. So I think the safest way to navigate through that way is to, one, call people by their name.
Can you do that in a conversation?
It'll
Keep
take
calling
some
somebody
effort.
their name. Won't it sound like you shouldn't be saying a name right there? You should be saying a they or a them.
I mean, no, I think you can carefully substitute a name for a pronoun. I definitely think you can, but it will take some time. It's just like if somebody changed their name and you have to be aware and cognizant of calling them the right name every time you say it. So I'm not saying it's easy. Yeah, I'm not saying it's easy. It'll definitely take some effort, but I think that's one way to safely navigate, or to simply ask someone, do you have preferred pronouns? But again,
So you say you're not participating in it, but if you're in a situation where somebody addresses you and says, "Excuse me," excuse me, people, halfway dying. But if somebody says, "Excuse me, Tosh, can you not call me she? I want to be referred to as them." You're going to tell them I'm not participating.
No,
in this?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I'm not going to approach people and ask them, what are your preferred pronouns? Now, if you tell me that, I feel like this. Either way is going to be hard. I'm going to slip up. If I'm trying to make a conscious effort of saying your name instead of saying she, or if I'm trying to make a conscious effort of saying them instead of saying she, it's going to be difficult either way because it's not natural. So I think, in saying I'm not saying I'm just going to disregard their request, but I'm not approaching a person saying, what are your preferred pronouns? How would you like to be addressed during this conversation? If I'm talking and you correct, but some people are like,
yeah, and I mean, if you see it on somebody's email, then you know, okay, they're participating and this is what they want.
And that's
when
another thing.
I showed you the email and it said the girl's name and then it says she and her.
Well, that's another thing. In my company, they sent out an email and it's not required, but they gave everybody a choice. You can add your preferred pronouns to your signature. So when I say I'm not participating, that's something else. I'm not. I'm a woman, and unless I tell you something different, like,
this is a dumb question. Does a heterosexual person have a pronoun?
Yeah, you're him, he.
Right.
Yeah, my pronouns is she and her. So that's our natural pronouns. So I don't feel the need to indicate that in my email signature, unless I just don't feel the need to do that. But some people, like Larry Krasner, I don't take that as some being gay. Like you said, he's kind of pandering, or I don't want to say pandering because that gives a negative connotation.
He's showing
solidarity. I'll give you my pronouns too, but it's like, why would we call you anything?
But I think he has a wife and kids.
That's what I'm saying. He's not doing it because he's a part of that community. He's just showing, I'll participate in letting you know my pronouns too, because that is the movement now. Oh, no one should just assume. I shouldn't just assume that you would like to be referred to as he and him. And see, it's not even natural to think about it, because if I'm talking about you, I'm just going to say he. But the thought process is now. But if he's identifying as a she today. But no, I'm talking about you.
But if I'm identifying as she today, then he, when you say he, that offends me.
You'll just are you still Walter today?
I'm not me for real. I'm just talking about.
I know, but so that's why I feel it was safer for me. And I've encountered this at work, and it's a struggle because I've had, and I'm trying to think about, it's a person born as a male but goes by a different name that really isn't a feminine name, but it's his feminine persona. Mm-hmm. So when they talk about him, I don't know, it's all weird. It's weird.
Something you got to be sensitive to, and everybody isn't sensitive to it. I mean, obviously you're not. You just said I'm not participating in it.
It's not that I'm not.
That's a statement in itself that says I'm not. With this.
Yeah, I'm not. That's what it is. I'm not comfortable with it. Not that I'm not sensitive to it. I wouldn't be disrespectful to somebody's wishes, but I am not initiating the ask. If I see you present yourself as a man, I'm going to call you a man. Now, if you were to walk in here, or a person was to walk in here, and I'm just going to say looking like you, beard, burly, but you had on lipstick and you had on heels and a dress, I'm gonna feel uncomfortable, because it's like he's presenting.
So a person like Magic Johnson's son, EJ, I would say he would be wanting to be called a she. He
may want to be called she,
but
or
her. Is he trans?
I don't know. He dresses. EJ, so this is where we can practice not using pronouns. EJ dresses as a woman. I don't know if EJ wants to be addressed as a woman using feminine pronouns or as a man using masculine pronouns. So, for my comfortability, instead of using either pronouns, I would just say, oh, look at EJ. EJ looks nice. EJ has a nice pocketbook. EJ's hair looks nice. EJ's makeup looks nice. EJ had a great birthday.
Right.
Instead of trying to figure out whether I should be saying he, her, him, she, they, them. That's where it really gets weird, where an individual wants to be addressed using plural pronouns. Like, where are we going with this? What if I want to be addressed as X? Don't use a pronoun with me.
Some people do. Malcolm did. So
Who's Malcolm?
X.
No, that was his last name.
No, was it?
Malcolm X is his last name.
He made that up.
I know
he didn't give himself a last name because it was a slave name. He didn't want a name like Johnson or Jackson.
I know, but that wasn't his pronoun. He didn't say refer to me.
No, I'm not saying, but it's people out there who say, I want to be called X. I want to be called, I don't want a last name.
No,
Shit,
I'm
Kanye
not talking about
changes his name every fucking 6 weeks.
I'm not talking about last names. I'm talking about instead of a pronoun, what if I don't want any pronouns. Just call me,
I think we should be sensitive to it and not offend people. But like you said, I'm not gonna go asking somebody, hey, what do you want to be called? But if somebody says, hey, don't call me she, don't call me he, and it's a woman, I'm gonna be a little confused, but I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm encountering this for the first time. I'm gonna try. I may ask your name so I can do what you want to do and just keep saying a name so you don't get in trouble. But I don't know. I felt the type of way when I'm working at this building and this maintenance guy tells me, and I've been in buildings for 21 years doing construction, and I never heard nobody say, there's a 3-second rule. Like, you can't look at the women longer than 3 seconds. And it was like, wow. But it was like, here's a guy that maybe lives under a rock, because how about my guys come in here and they're gay? So now there's a 3-second rule with the men. You can't look at people for longer than 3 seconds. Because what if I bring three guys in here that don't like women? That's all gay. Like, what do you say then? Does the 3-second rule apply? That's not being sensitive to what's going on in the world.
You know what is I'm gonna say a little saddening, maybe sad is not the right word, but I can't think of the right word right now. When we think about all this, and where the focus is on sexuality, and it's like, wow, this is what the world has come to, that we're so, because I don't want to say prior to, because of course there's always been people who maybe have felt like this internally or mentally, and they just had not been able to express it. So I'm not going to say prior to this, but 10 years ago, before this was such a huge topic of conversation, the thought, we weren't walking around thinking about everyone's sexuality. And
No.
I know this is deeper than just sexual preference. It's about their gender orientation and whether they feel like a man or a woman. And let's not even get into a man or a person born as a man who changes to a woman
To be a gay
who wants
woman.
to date women. I don't even know. So let's not even get into the sexuality part of it. But it's just, it almost is too much when you think, I don't want, it's really scary for children to think now they have this, hovering over them, thinking about people's sexuality and how, what their sexual orientation is, what their gender orientation is, how does gender differ from sex. It's a different world. And I feel like when old people had to start using Mac machines, I'm really dating myself calling Mac machines, and they didn't want to go to this machine to get their money. They wanted to go to a bank teller. Like, that's how I feel in this world today. It's like, it's too much. It's too much. It's too much.
It is. This is, as I gather more information about this and see more headlines and see more stuff about this, it gives me more information to maybe change my thought process. And
in what ways?
Because a lot of it, I think, is programming. It's like what you feed kids, what you feed people on TV.
I agree.
How everything is inclusive to that community. and it's programming, and it's, I think part of it, just like mental health, part of it is a wave. And it's sad to say that because it sounds like I'm dissing the movement or something, because I'm not, because I'm strong about your mental health. If something's wrong with you, go get looked at. If you feel like you gay, come out. Like, don't be afraid, live your true self. I'm all for that. But certain parts of this stuff is about a wave, like just being a part of something. And I don't know who to pinpoint out who that is, but when you get to a point where Michael Myers is homophobic because he killed a gay couple in a movie, like, that's what I'm talking about. Certain parts of this shit is just something to latch on to, just like the mental health thing. Ben Simmons is an example of that, how he can spend 5 years in the league, never complain about mental health. Then when it's about taking his money, I'm mental health and I don't want to play. So it's different from a Simone Biles who says, look, shit is stressful. It's, I need a break. It's different from that. And it's certain people just latch on to shit because they know it's a part of the ride. And the programming, just what you feed people over and over and over again. And we know any show you turn on, you can see Superman is gay now. Like, it's just all over the TV. It's all over Netflix. It's all over anything you watch. And you said this before. You 8, you 9, you 10 years old. There's no freaking way you should be making a decision like that. That I want to change up and feel I want to be a different gender or something like that. That's
So let me ask this, just to take it a bit deeper, because I don't disagree with you that it's programming. Why do you think it is? What do you think what do you think is the goal?
this may sound crazy, but the obvious goal is population control. But then you start sounding like a conspiracy theorist. You start sounding like a conspiracy theorist. But the obvious thing, which you see if you think, okay, why are they trying to like make everybody gay? If that's your take on it, then you would think, okay, they're trying to control the population. But again, that sounds kind of conspiracy theorist. But I don't know why all of a sudden, if you ask for inclusiveness, that's one thing. But programming is another thing, because you can have blacks on TV and blacks in key locations, but the TV is not oversaturated with blacks. But you can have it to a point where every show you turn on is a man kissing, or it's a boy with a boy, or it's a girl with a girl. There's shows specifically geared towards that. And God forbid you say anything to offend that community, there's a price to pay for it.
And I agree. I'm not disagreeing with
There's
you
a
at
price
all.
to pay for it.
And one of the things you mentioned, Michael Myers, and then also thinking about Dave Chappelle. And I've seen the same correlation made. Dave Chappelle, he has been using the N-word in his TV show and in his comedies for years, and nobody ever thought to cancel him. But now he says something that rubs some people of the LGBTQIA plus community the wrong way, because not everyone was offended by what he said. Some people really got the gist of it. It wasn't anything offensive, but who am I to tell somebody what to be offended by? But for years, he's been using the N-word derogatory skits against black people, and we've had hearty laughs. He even said, "Y'all, you offered $50 million for him to continue that he turned down, but now it's cancel him because he did this special." And then when we think about Michael Myers, there has been a long-running stereotype, which really is true, about black people in horror movies. We're always the first to be killed. Nobody's ever, said, oh, the horror movies, Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy Krueger, whoever else, they're racist because they always kill black people. It's just been a running joke.
And
so
everybody knows in a horror movie, people get killed. Nobody knows who's going to die.
So now when movie writers are writing movies, they have to think, oh, let's not let the gay people get killed first because we're being homophobic. Let's, if we kill the women first, are we misogynistic? Or if we kill Asian people first, are we, is this Asian hate?
It's fucked up.
Like, so now you got to think about this, who gets killed first, or just stick to killing the black people first, because that's what we've always done.
And just to take it even further, and let's get off this, you want to get outraged about Dave Chappelle and what he says about trans community and the ramifications of what it may do to that community. Okay, Trump started a coup. He told people to take back the Capitol, and people went down there and tried to overturn the fucking government. And why ain't nobody
People
outraged?
died.
Yeah, why ain't nobody outraged about what he said? But people outraged about what Dave Chappelle said. Again, it's one of those things that makes my point. If you offend that community, it's a backlash for it. But here, a sitting president can tell people, go take back the goddamn Capitol, and they can go do an attempted coup, and nobody is talking about the words he said
It
that
died
started
down.
that.
It always
Yeah.
did.
But you're talking about the words that a person said to a specific community. This guy wanted to uproot the government, and he was a sitting president. Like, that's out of pocket in itself.
Yeah.
What's your beef? My beef is a goddamn priest was arrested for sharing porn on a church computer. So I'm not Catholic. I'm Christian. I'm not coming down on the Catholics, but what the fuck? Since I was a little boy, priests been molesting boys and touching on little boys and fucking little boys and altar boys, and they just get sent to a different parish. They get moved over in France. They get moved over to the Vatican couple years, and then they come back and put them around more boys. And now you got a priest who is bold enough to have child porn on the goddamn church computer. Like, when is the Catholic population, because this is, I don't deal with priests, but y'all do, when are y'all going to get a wrangle on this shit? And when are y'all going to stop moving people to different locations and different parishes to do the same damn thing? Like, he's got porn on the church computer. Not a personal computer, the church computer. Like, that's just cool, and ain't nobody an outrage about that. That's my beef.
Yeah, that it's not even surprising.
Catholicism. I don't know what it is about that with the priests and the fucking of the little boys. I don't know what that is. How it's just a pass, and everybody in the world knows about it, but it's not like stopped.
It's not even surprising anymore when you hear anything. I guess what's more surprising for me is in this day and age, and we've heard about it with teachers, with government officials. Don't you know what you do on these computers can be tracked and
Church
traced?
computer.
And this is one of the things though where we kind of run a line between what is the law, the Privacy Act, what is that called? Maybe it's just the Privacy Act. So we kind of run a line where, is it good for us or is it not? Because we know that everything you do on these computers is traceable. Maybe not, it's in there somewhere, in the cloud, in somewhere in the system, whatever you do on the computers, no matter how much you delete your history, no matter what you think you get rid of, it's out there. But see, we run a lot because there was just a story where somebody, I don't know if it was Facebook, somebody, an organization reported, hey, this person has these images on the computer. I don't know if it was Apple or what, but somebody reported that this.
Oh, Apple did a scan of everybody's iPhone for child porn. I saw a story
but
about
recently there was a story, and it was a very specific company I can't think of, but they reported that this person had it. And you think, we come to this place in society where we don't want people in our business. We don't want them to have access to our phones and know stuff.
I heard that. I was cool with it.
I mean, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You think, not child porn, but I'm saying, what about, and we've talked about this, we don't really sext each other, sending naked pics. But I know there's some couples that do, and that's perfectly fine.
You do got a porno in the cloud, though. It's in the cloud. I'm just saying. They do got a porno.
I don't even think the cloud was, like, available then. I think that's on camcorder.
Okay.
Nevertheless, you went too far. You went too far. You went too far. Why'd you have to throw that out there?
I'm just saying it.
What I'm saying is, what we have to decide: do we want them in our business so that they can report when people are doing foul stuff with kids? Me, I'm okay for it. You can look at my phone. If I send him a titty pic, oh well, I'm grown. This is my husband. And God forbid for the people who cheat, who may be sending titty pics or dick pics to somebody else. as long as it ain't kids involved, they ain't gonna ever tell on you. So I'm all for them being in our business and looking at our phone. It ain't nothing we can do to stop it
that's not
anyway.
something that I would be against if Apple.
Yeah.
When I read that, I was like, oh, cool. Some people gonna get caught. All you dudes out there that go to barely 18 sites, that shit is child porn. So you can get caught up all you want with that type of stuff. And anybody that had real child porn on their phone, you should be locked the fuck up.
Yeah, but I've been kind of having a dilemma though.
These goddamn priests, like, it's just been since I was a kid. It's been the same old thing. And some of these guys have molested and fucked on hundreds of boys. And the shit just keeps going. Guy goes to France, goes to the Vatican for 3-5 years, and then ends up in Oklahoma around another 100 boys. Like, it's crazy. And this shit has to stop. Like, there's people that's grown 30, 40 years old that spent, a good portion of their childhood being molested by priests. Yeah. And everybody in the world knows this, and nothing.
You know what I would like for somebody to chime in if you have any information? And this is related to priests and nuns. Now, I ain't no Bible scholar, but I do know that God's purpose for us is to procreate, meaning that, to be married, not fornicate, be married, procreate. So where does it say that you're supposed to have these men and women who, and I'm not excusing them for touching kids, not at all. It's no reason. I would rather they find you with a prostitute who's grown than to find child porn. Or I would rather they find out this priest got a family on the side that he ain't tell them about than to find you with kids. We have to, and this is like ridiculous that they're going to change Catholicism, but somebody really needs to sit down and say, guess what, y'all? God ain't say that we got to be virgins for all of our life.
We're married to get what? Well, how early do you become a nun?
Well, some people transition to it. Sorry, you don't necessarily have to be a virgin because some people transition to it.
Right. I was going to say you could be like 30 years old and decide to be a nun. You had some sex before that.
But where in the Bible does God say you don't have sex no more?
You're married to God in that religion or that you.
I don't think he say that though. I ain't trying to question Catholicism, but I am.
I think he says that because they do that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, show me. I'm from Missouri.
I'm sure they probably could.
I'm from Missouri.
I'm sure they probably could, but it's just people. You got to get a hold on that. Like it's out of control, and you always constantly see 4 or 5 of these stories a year with priests, and nobody. It's just like another one, another one.
We've become immune, so it's been going on for so long. They need to prosecute to the fullest extent. There needs to be no church law that supersedes the legal authorities when it comes to crimes. Like, point blank, period.
Especially crimes on children. It's just insane. What's your beef?
My beef is a little more lighthearted. It ain't that heavy, but it is a beef that I have.
Hold on. People out there, drop your beefs in the comments. We want to know what your beefs are too. We can talk about that when we check them out. So when we get done our segment, you watching this, drop your beefs in the comments. Also, participate in the wows and woes. You can drop your wows and woes in the comments, and we can talk about that. We want to know if your week is up, if your week is down. So you can drop your mentals, you can drop your wows and woes, you can drop your beef in there, and we can talk about all that. Go ahead.
Here's my beef. And I don't care if y'all offended by this or not. This is just how I feel. Stop begging for money, putting your Cash App out there when it's your birthday. It's tacky. And I even seen celebrities, if that's what you want to call them, do it as well. I saw recently a celebrity, their birthday, they put a Cash App, and they asked for $1 from each of their followers. Such a genius idea if you're somebody that has... If you got 10,000, if you got 500 followers and you just get $1 from everybody, that's great. But if you got 5,000, 50,000, 500,000 followers and you're just simply asking for $1 from people, that is a genius idea for somebody who's doing like a fundraiser or something for a good cause. But you're just being greedy, asking for birthday money. It's tacky. When people, and not even just talking about celebrities, just everyday folk. Putting your Cash App out there, or hey, it's my child's birthday, show them some love, here goes their Cash App. Really? I just feel like people that know you and love you, they're gonna do that anyway. You don't have to beg for money, and to me that's what it looks like. It looks like you're begging. Like that's just not in me to be like, hey, here's my cash app, send me a gift if you want. I feel like my friends, my family, if it's my birthday or whatever the occasion is that you may want to give me a gift, they're going to get me a gift. If they want, I've sent friends money for their birthday for cash app. Hey, lunch on me today. Or hey, I know you're going out. Here goes, $40 drinks on me when you go out for happy birthday. Whatever it is, because I want to. Like, if you put your cash app out there, I'm immediately like, I'm not participating. I'm just not participating in that. That's my beef. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
When you put your cash app out there and shit like that, especially on the internet, that's saying, it's like walking up to a stranger saying, it's my birthday, can I have $10? Like, you might as well just walk up to somebody on the street and say, hey, it's my birthday, can I have $10? Like, you might as well beg.
And it may not be strangers because, it's on your page and your friends probably follow you. But
but you're going to take the money from strangers.
Yeah.
Don't act like it ain't strangers. You're going to take the money from strangers.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Ain't going to be no quote in there to say, I only want it from my family.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
3 grams. Elon Musk wants to stop world hunger. Said he gives $6 billion right now, but he wants the public and himself to see where the money goes. This dude I looked up today is worth $303 billion, and he was like $6 billion. I'll give that to you right now. Sell Tesla stock, but I want an itemized report of where the money goes and who's doing what with it, and I'll do it right now. So you have a billionaire who's trying to make doing all this technology shit, building tunnels, a great car, going to goddamn space, and is asking a gesture like that, and nobody is even talking about that. Like, do you think the government should bite on that? Not just to, and I don't even say the government, because they probably would just take his money and do some dumb shit with it, but an organization of some sort that may be able to say, okay, we can take this $6 billion and over 10 years, spread this out to change people being hungry. But I just think that's an awesome thing to do. And I was thinking, that's bullshit, $6 billion. But his net worth is $303 billion. 6 ain't shit to him.
No, I think that's an awesome gesture. I think you have to look past the government, and you do have to look at private.
They shouldn't be involved at all.
No, it's going to be sketchy.
What's like the World Hunger Organization? Is that like the world's biggest advocate for hunger, or is it a bigger group?
I don't know. I won't speak to that because I don't know, but I do know there's food banks everywhere. Mm-hmm. Let's start there, that are always asking for donations. So let's start with local food banks. I think that's where you may have the greatest impact, is starting with the smaller organizations and then branching out, because that's where you kind of get lost in some bureaucracy. A food bank. That's where you kind of get lost in some bureaucracy and red tape, because they got all this money, but then they got all these employees. So yeah, we got all this money, but we had to hire new people. So
but
we
it's
had
Elon Musk, and he said, I'll do it with an itemized thing. Like, you have to show where the money goes.
I get it, but I'm saying the bigger the organization, I think. And I'm not saying organizations do this fraudulently, but you think about this. You have a huge organization.
Somebody taking a trip.
Well, you're going to... No.
Somebody buying a car.
No, I'm not saying that. You're going to need more employees because you're going to have more work to do. Oh, we got this huge donation. We need people to allocate the funds. We need people to research organizations. So you lessen the efficacy of the donation because you have to use some of that money for salaries. That's what I'm saying. Not to say they're doing anything fraudulently, but I think, and not to say that some big companies won't be needed, but I think if you start small and expand, then that's where you'll get the biggest bang for your buck. But I also think it's a bigger problem than just world hunger. And you touched on this last week, because a lot of the people who are hungry are homeless. So you can feed people all day long. You have people who can go to shelters who can eat all day long, 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then they gotta sleep in the street. So I think it's a bigger problem than just solving for world hunger. Let's solve for world homelessness.
But that's two different problems. But what if there was nobody hungry in the world? And then, like, you're talking about homelessness, and I know that's connected, but that's a different problem. But we all can agree, like, kids in Ethiopia, the third world countries, like the world. He's talking about world hunger, $6 billion. Like that can feed a lot of people.
Yeah, but like
that can build some wells. That can make some food banks in those places that are food deserts and shit like that.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Food insecurities is one of the biggest crises in not just America but in the world, because world hunger doesn't just mean you don't eat.
Right.
Food insecurities mean you don't know where your next meal is coming from. So it's a huge problem. I think $6 billion is definitely enough to at least get the ball rolling.
Right. To alleviate some, to get some food in some
but
people's
I don't think the government at all. I think maybe,
I
he should establish some type of plan where he can break that $6 billion down, and maybe organizations who are really serious about impacting or making an impact on that population of people that suffer from hunger or food insecurities, they can say, hey, we'll take some, and rightfully he should require receipts and require documentation substantiating what they're doing with the funds.
Right. I think an organization should jump on that. I've never seen that before, and that much money offered from somebody before.
That's a huge.
And he was like, "I'll do it right now if somebody can organize it the way I'm asking for it to be organized. I would bite on it if I was a organization of some sort who was in that type of field." And you're probably right. A big organization he probably shouldn't trust off the back with 2,000 employees, but the smaller places and.
You can't give like a Phil Abundance $6 billion. They don't have the facility to house enough, and they're going to need employees. That's what I'm saying.
Need 3 more facilities.
You're going to have to break down that money to. So yeah, it's awesome. It would be great to see that done.
Second grand, Alpo shot. Old Harlem drug dealer shot and killed after serving 35 years for 14 murders. Cooperated with the feds to avoid a life sentence. That's crazy. I didn't know that was 35 fucking years ago.
Well, no. He got 35 years, but he got out early because he cooperated. He was sentenced to 35 years. He didn't do 35 years.
Okay. I thought he did 35 years and he was avoided a life sentence. He cooperated and that's what he got, 35. I think it was that long ago, baby. This happened in the 80s.
You would have been 10. I don't think, no.
This happened in 88. So how long ago was that?
That wasn't 30. He 88 was like...
He was 53 years old. 55 when he just got shot. So how old would he been in 88?
I don't know. You're asking me to do math right now. 88 and this is 2021. So I don't know. Like, I can't do the math real fast like that.
I think it said he served 35 years, babe.
So that was 33 years ago.
Yeah,
he went to jail in 88?
Because remember...
I thought he was in the streets and stuff in like the 80s and the 90s.
Nah, I thought he went down in Washington and got caught.
Okay, I don't know the history.
Yeah, regardless, but... Alpo shot dude.
So when I read the story, you know what I thought to myself, and this is not
and this was like a city drug dealer that was known in a lot of states.
Not to say that he was deserving of, people say, oh, he was a snitch, it was coming, blah, blah, blah. The thing that stood out to me, and this isn't the first time that we've heard this before, he was in a witness protection program, and he didn't stick to it.
His name was Albert Martinez, his new name.
He didn't stick to it. They said he was
supposed to stay in Maine.
He was frequently in the hood where he was known. And then I saw another video where somebody said, I can't believe he is riding around to corners giving people play-by-play details on how he killed people. Like it was like him in the back seat of a car and somebody was recording him and he had the window rolled down. And I didn't watch the whole thing, but it was just like, yeah, and this happened on this day, blah, and then I pulled up and I jumped out here and people was like, I can't believe he's riding around giving this play-by-play. Like you can't live that kind of life and get away from it and then go back to it. It's gonna come back to you.
It's weird, right? Because you grow up, right? And I'm a street dude. I grew up in the street, and it's like a certain bravado of guys who were, who was able to carry themselves with a gun and be a shooter, and it at the time. Now you're just a fucking crash dummy, but at the time it was like, oh, this guy has heart. Don't fuck with him. He got bodies. Like you've heard this kind of lingo in the street. We knew of a guy back then in the 80s and 90s. Guy, I don't want to say his name, but he had somehow killed like 30 people. And it to a point, he killed 14 people out though. To a point for me, it gets to be like, it's out of the street shit, and you're just like a serial killer. Like, what the fuck? 30 people, 14 people? Like, you're a serial killer. That's beyond any street shit to have murdered that many people.
Yeah.
14 people?
I mean, I
That's
guess
insane. Like, if somebody was to say, oh, you know, we in the street and we young and we gambling. Who that? Oh, that's such and such. Oh yeah, don't fuck with him. He killed 30 people. I would be thinking, what the fuck?
Now I guess it's circumstantial though,
Like
because
30
are you a
fucking
hitman
people?
or were you just in altercations that you always won and you killed these
The
people?
first guy I'm talking about was like a hitman. Like he
So
came
yeah,
out
that's
when it
your
was time
serial
to
killer.
hit people, but it was like, you know, oh, who's this new guy around here? I ain't never seen him. Oh, that's he killed like 30 people. What?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with him?
What's your mental like where you're able to do that and like
And just be on some street shit like, this is just what I do. Like, no, you are a serial killer.
and how impacted is your soul that you've taken the life? Like, I felt bad when I killed some bugs.
It's not like a dude who's like, yo, he got in some shit and he killed somebody. Or somebody tried to rob him, he killed somebody. No, he killed 30 people. Why? Because they had to go, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
Like, that shit is insane to be like, not in the I never was in the presence of him, but he crossed the street like that dude killed 30 people. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. But just to think 14 people, I don't know. That's serial killer stuff.
Yeah, I just can't understand. I don't know how somebody's mental would allow them just you're not normal. You killed the. Did you tell the people?
What I kill? Oh, I killed the skunk. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. And he
though, because I wasn't in the car by myself.
I wasn't
I wasn't in the car by myself. Yeah, I wasn't in the car by myself.
I wasn't driving. Did we? Okay, y'all. He was driving. Did we kill the skunk or did he kill the skunk? Because he was driving. How is that
Drop
a we
comment.
thing?
We killed the skunk if we was in the car together. If I pulled over to rob a bank, we robbed the bank.
But if I didn't go in to rob the
goes.
bank,
That's
I
society.
robbed the
You can't
bank.
go against society. Oh yeah, they're gonna give you fucking 10, 15 years too.
Okay, maybe I was an accomplice, but you were
an accomplice
driving
to the murder of killing the skunk. And you made me feel bad enough that fucking night.
How did I
Because you
make?
kept saying, oh, that's the first time I've been that close to a skunk, and we murdered it. Like, that shit made me feel bad. Like,
I did not know that he was going to feel bad. Because, first of all, I thought this skunk was going to run. He, like, scurried, and he didn't get out the way. But he was driving, so how did we can't use plurals here.
No, because if I went to the barbershop, hit a skunk on the way back, and I come in, I'll be like, babe, I hit a fucking skunk. That didn't happen that night. We came home. We was in the car. We came home and was like, we hit a skunk.
Wow.
It wasn't no me.
Okay, y'all. Did we kill the skunk or did he kill the skunk? Let us know.
Was we.
So I'm just saying.
Okay.
You killed the skunk and you felt bad. So I couldn't imagine having.
I didn't kill 14 skunks. I didn't kill 30
See,
skunks.
you would be like a serial killer. Like
of skunks.
Yeah.
A serial skunk killer.
Yeah.
Last gram, Disneyland in Shanghai shut down, locking 34,000 people inside all day until everybody was tested. Because one person tested positive for COVID the day before she was there. So she was home and tested positive. And they contact traced her and said, you was at Disneyland yesterday. Shut it the fuck down.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I think it's ridiculous.
People?
Because we know now with COVID, you cannot test positive for a few days. So, I mean, what exactly is your intent?
Contact tracing. I don't know what that's all about, but the lady was home and took a COVID test.
So they think she left COVID
and
at the
obviously
park.
they're in Shanghai, so it was like a government-regulated COVID test, and she tested positive. And they was like, you was at Disneyland yesterday. Called Disneyland, shut that shit down. 34,000 people locked inside.
So those 34,000 people, I would assume...
They always tested.
But no, what I'm saying is, let's say 1,000. 34,000, let's say 4,000 people are employees. I don't know how many people Disneyland employees, but let's just say 4,000. The other 30,000, they weren't there yet the day before when the lady was there. So if you lock down the employees because they were there and they may have come in contact with her, that's one thing. But do you think she left COVID in the air at Disneyland?
No.
Like, why are you testing the people that just showed up today?
And guess what? They had 34,000 negative tests.
And guess what? Some of those people could have went home and the next day tested positive because it doesn't always show. Like that's, I think that's overkill. And I think this is where I know COVID is real. I don't care what nobody else say. I'm not one of those people who think like COVID is a conspiracy. Not at all. But I think this is where you start feeding fuel to the fire of the crazy conspiracy theorists when they say, oh, this is just propaganda. When you do stuff like that, because it's such overkill. It doesn't make sense when you do stuff like that. It's like, come on now, use your logic. Even if I came here today, I don't know that lady. I didn't come in contact with that lady. Why are you locking me here? Why are you being weird to me?
That's in Shanghai where... they probably are like, we're not going to act out or buck up because the government's shutting it down and you probably can get hurt. If that shit happened in Florida or California,
people would have went crazy.
And they locked them in Disneyland.
And Disneyland would have all kinds of lawsuits.
And you in there, like, how long we going to be in? And in China, they probably got tests readily available and up to par to do that shit. It would have took them a day and a half to test 34,000 people in goddamn California or Florida. Florida probably wouldn't even test it.
It's ridiculous. That's overkill. That's overkill.
Last Graham, that was it. Act 2 the podcast, episode 43. Again, we are on Spotify, we are on Breaker, we are on Google Podcasts, we are on Anchor. Check us out. We're there. Check us out. Drop your comments for your wows and woes. Let us know what's up. We can talk about that. Drop your comments for your beef. You may have a beef, something you feeling tight about something. So you can get that off. Let us know. Act 2 the podcast, episode 43. If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace.